In this video, I'm gonna talk about network address translation, or NAT. So you might wonder, you're probably wondering why we have NAT. We actually have NAT now, or the reason why NAT was invented because if you are an engineer, you are probably aware that we are running out of IPv4 addresses, and we are seeing more, IPv6 addresses. But there are still a lot of enterprises who are using IPv4 addresses. The reason why the migration to IPv6 addresses are not that fast because it's because of NAT. NAT allows us, and let me just read the description, allows private IPv4 addresses to be translated into Internet-routable IP addresses or public IP addresses. So basically, like I said earlier, we are running out of public IP addresses. When I said IPv4 addresses, I meant public IP addresses, because private IP addresses, we can use them inside an enterprise, and it can used by many organizations inside their network. But we can't do that with public IP addresses, which what we use if we need to get on to the internet. So basically, NAT, I already read the description. NAT allows us to translate private IPv4 addresses into public IPv4 addresses if we want to get onto the internet. So that's why we still have IPv4 addresses because of NAT. Yeah. Let's talk about the types of NAT. We have three types of NAT: static NAT, dynamic NAT, and PAT, port address translation or overloading. So static NAT. Static NAT allows one-to-one mapping between local and global addresses. So basically, static NAT allows us to map a single private IP address to a single public IP address. So, and it is static, so that's why it is called static. So here, local is just private, and global is just public. So you would use static NAT if you have, for example, an email server that has a private address inside your network, and of course, if you are outside your office and you are trying to send an email to that email server, then that email server will use the static public address. So that's why it needs to be static mapping. Number 2 is dynamic NAT. Maps unregistered IP addresses to registered IP addresses from a pool of registered IP addresses. So basically, unregistered IP addresses means private IP addresses and registered public IP addresses. So basically, instead of doing it manually, we let the router or the NAT maps the private IP addresses to public IP addresses, and we have what we call a pool of those public IP addresses. That is basically dynamic NAT. And last is PAT. I would say that this one is the most common because it is very useful. It basically maps multiple unregistered IP addresses to a single registered IP address. So many to one, meaning many private IP addresses to a single public IP address by using different ports. So PAT actually uses, if a client sends an IP packet, it has source and destination addresses, right? And it also has source ports and destination ports. That's what PAT is using here, using different ports. So this would actually make more sense if we are looking at a topology and some configurations. So, but don't you worry, I'm going to talk about the configuration of each of these in the future videos. But for now, thanks for watching. Bye.